Throw that one away. It's from 2025. It was warm all last night. Hardly used the heater at all. Still got fuel in it. So it was pretty expensive on the diesel fuel this winter. It was probably like $10 every 2 days for diesel fuel from January to February. So that's what, 150 a month just on diesel fuel, just to warm this bedroom. So the sun is shining really bright hot today. And here in California, San Joaquin Valley. And so I had to put the curtain up. And I got both windows opened so that the steam can get out, because when it rained this last time, what was it, a week ago or 2 weeks ago, it just completely soaked all the floor, so all that water's starting to evaporate, and then it gets humid like a swamp in here at night after when the sun's going down, because right there where the sun hits at night, that's the part of the floor that's all completely washed up. And so make sure this is turned on. So let me put on my shorts. Find them. Here we go. Shorts. So this one girl, her name is Love something. I forget what her YouTube channel name was. But her name is, and she usually, let me move this phone to over here. And let me close this so you'll be able to see me, because if that light's shining in, you know how it does. We got some birds singing out there. Nice. Here's the birds. So my phones are all kind of discharged for some reason. They don't want a fast charge. So that's kind of crazy and bizarre. But you know how that is. So I guess there's a few people doing live streams right now. And let me see what people are doing. President Trump addresses the entire trucking industry. Do you people actually believe this clown show is so freaking phony? Do you believe the claps? You can't see that that's freaking fake? All freaking clown show. Okay. The one dude is out on the beach. Potential Bliss. He's getting hooked on live streams. And some of these live streams are not real people. It's Hollywood. And so you got to be on the lookout for that. So what am I looking for here? I'm just seeing who's doing live streams. So, yeah, they're talking about a lot of different things here. I don't want to start talking about them. You can find out about this stuff by going to a channel I'll tell you about here in a minute. Okie dokie. So, let me see here. Yeah, that's true love. I think she had said this one word, and I remember she did something, and I was like, they don't know what they cannot say, right? You have to consider who the judges are, right? The YouTube judges. A lot of these people don't even know where they're at. So, anywho, let me check my signal. Then I'll tell you. I'll bring you up to speed. This is good. This guy's showing you what it's really like in the workforce. So that's good. This is real stuff. So I subscribed to the channel yesterday. But anyhow, let me go in and check my signal. And then I will start telling you some things. Wow. Thanks for the emojis. Give the people in the chat a shout out. Okay. So, here's the stuff that I've been researching. And I don't have any props to show you right now. It'll be on the next one. I've got to get some materials. I've got to buy some books to show you. Okay? And then they end up just going out, getting thrown away. Because I'm not buying them for myself. I'm just buying them to show you. Okay, first of all, I don't got the books to show you, but I think a big problem right now is, I don't think these are even my damn notes. Yeah, it is, okay. I think a big problem that we're facing right now is ignorance, lack of education of the people. I think this is a big, they're just so much easier to manipulate through the media with propaganda. And I started looking at some of the stuff in other cultures, other languages, and I was doing research on what are the main social platforms in other cultures. Well, you know that there's a big battle going on right now with the food. Okay? So a lot of these things that they're showing on social media are manipulations, because that's the only way they could give their side of the story is through manipulations, because it's lies. They can't come out and defend their product. They have to use lies, and so this is the method they use. They pretend to be normal people, okay, on these live streams. This is mind manipulation because they're lying. And so I was thinking that this information needs to get out to other languages, because it is making making progress in the English speaking language people, namely us here in the United States, Canada, and Europe, and Australia. And the English speaking places around the world. So, here in the United States, the second most spoken language is English, followed by Chinese, I think, Mandarin. So, Chinese, that's a whole different ball game. I don't know what the deal is with that, okay? But the second most spoken language, because they're a complete different culture, which I do not have a clue. I have an inkling, but really I do not have a clue because I've never been to China. And the only countries I've been to is Mexico and Canada. And so this culture, the Mexican culture in Mexico, I think is being duped beyond belief. You think it's bad here. They are really deep in it over there. And you think they're poisoning us here. They're really poisoning the out of them over there. And well, I draw these conclusions because I did a little research, and I looked at the foods we eat. Like here in the United States, we eat bread. We eat bread like it was going out of style. And in Mexico, they eat tortillas. And there's two different kinds of tortillas. There's corn tortillas and wheat flour tortillas. And so I did a little searching on how much organic bread is on the market. And in these last 2 years, it went from virtually zero to it's basically skyrocketing right now. And so I checked tortillas here and in Mexico. And it's virtually zero. Okay, so that tells you something. Over here, knowledge of how bad enriched flour is skyrocketing. And in Mexico, it's still non-existent. The people don't even know about it. And so this is a problem. And another thing, there were a few people who alerted us to this. One was the book by Elaine Foyer, and it's called The FDA's Crimes Against Humanity. And another one was the main one that alerted everyone to not only this, but everything else, was Natural Cures They Don't Want You to Know About by Kevin Trudeau. That's the book that started it. Then everything under the sun became such and such they don't want you to know about. The thing they don't want you to know about. The super card they don't want you to know about. Kevin Trudeau is the one who came out with that phrase in his book, Natural Cures They Don't Want You to Know About. And back then, if you tried talking like I'm talking right now, exposing this stuff, they would straight come after your ass and take your ass out. If you don't believe me, ask Kevin Trudeau, ask Leonard Horowitz, and others who are not here if you wanted to ask them. People that I was paying attention to these last 20 years. And so in that book by Kevin Trudeau, he also exposed milk. Okay? And when he exposed this, if you tried selling raw milk, they would straight throw your ass in prison. And he was exposing this, and it was a huge dilemma. When we were listening to this back in 2011, he explained what was going on with the milk. And there's a lot that you should hear what he says about it. It's a crying shame that the audio CDs he made, which is easy for people who are not educated to get the information, all they have to do is have the want to. It doesn't cost much now, especially now. Now, the CDs are dirt cheap, but it's not available in the Spanish-speaking language because they haven't caught on. There's nobody to do it. And I think it's an lack of education. So it's hard to get the fire started. And in that community. And so this is an issue. No wonder 99% of the tortillas on the shelves at your grocery stores, 99% of them are made with garbage wheat flour. As opposed to the bread is starting to be made with good wheat flour, which is wheat flour, or even better, organic wheat flour. Many, many times better if you have any concern on residue of Roundup. That's how you get around it. That's a strange parallel, huh? But what is that called when two words match each other like that? Round up and get around it. But anyway, I'm sure there's a word for it, but I don't know what it is. They didn't teach us that well in school. Just enough to get by. Just smart enough to use a cash register. And so it's increasing by leaps and bounds. The people are catching on, demanding bread be made with good flour, and it's catching on the bakeries too. your bakeries, it's catching on all over the place. They're finding out that enriched flour is dog shit. Doesn't matter if it's bleach enriched flour or unbleached enriched flour. If it's enriched flour, it's freaking garbage. And so that's a problem. It's not getting to the Spanish speaking community. And so I did some research on Mexico because, Mexico has a lot of agriculture. Their agriculture is actually better than our agriculture now. Well, it's no surprise because their soil is not depleted of nutrition of of minerals, and so yet they lack water for whatever reason. I don't understand why they would not have any water, but they don't. And therefore, they do not grow any wheat. They get their wheat from us, the United States. And I did Google search to find out how much of that wheat going to Mexico, where they're making tortillas out of it, how much of it is good wheat. And it's virtually non existent. They don't even have a number for it. Okay? Where here in the United States, it's increasing by leaps and bounds right now. It's on fire. The word is getting out to the people. And so this was a dilemma when Kevin Trudeau was talking about this back in 2011 in his book, and on the he was doing the videos like in 2009, and that they threw him in jail in 2014. And so I think it was March 17, 2014. I'll double check. But so this was a big problem back then because nobody knew about it. We were basically at the point where Mexico is now in the Hispanic speaking community. We were where they're at right now. And you couldn't find any raw milk. This was an issue because you need milk for vitamin D and for calcium. And not only that, but my personal belief is that the animal is tranquil by nature. It's very serene. It's a very serene animal, and you can feel this when you're around these animals. Call it vibrational energy or whatever you want to. I used to work on a dairy farm. And so my personal belief is there's some type of vibrations in the milk itself from this animal. And so not only the things that you can see, but the things that you can't see. And so you need milk. So this was a problem. Because what are you going to do? Right? And so now it's not a problem no more. It's on the shelves. You just have to look for it. There's raw milk now. You don't have to drink the other stuff that has all these things that you'll learn about if you read the book or listen to the audio CDs, which are on eBay. They're dirt cheap. You can even, as far as I know, there's a few. Well, I don't want to talk about this other stuff because I think they're putting this stuff up on the internet, and then when I tell the people about it, they freaking pull it off. That's the kind of freaking devils they are. And so if you do a search for raw milk, I checked Mexico, how much of their wheat they're getting from imports, and 80% of it, that's basically all of their wheat, the little bit that they grow, 80% of their wheat is coming from the United States. Did I say that already? Probably. Okay, so if you do a web search for organic cheese, what got me searching for this was that, you know, you have all these people on live streams telling you about which bread is good, right? Which bread is bad, which sugar is good, which sugar is bad, which yogurt is good, which yogurt is bad. And don't drink sodas because it has enough freaking sugar to freaking knock an elephant's ass down in the dirt. And yet not one of those mofos, not one of them told you a damn thing about what was going on with the freaking dairy, the cheese. And so here I was buying cheese thinking, you know, everything's good. I was reading the ingredients, and then I saw this one thing on, I don't know where it was, and it said something about the cheese. And so I went and I checked it out, and I don't know how they alerted me to it, but they said that the enzyme is not a natural enzyme. And the FDA didn't make them say anything about it. It's not a freaking natural enzyme, but it says enzyme. And so I'm like, that's a freaking crime. How can the FDA let them do that? And this is in 80% of all cheese in the nation has this enzyme in it that turns out was created in the laboratories of Big Pharma, Bayer. Do you see any connection there? The pharmaceutical industry and the food industry. So I said, the hell with this mofos. I'm never buying this crap again. I still got it in my refrigerator. I'm not going to throw it out because I'm not rich. But I had bought mild cheddar, sharp cheddar, and string cheese. And I noticed something about the string cheese. It's like, why does it have that texture? And it was turns out that that enzyme was created in a laboratory in Big Pharma. And so I'm just like, I'm never buying this crap again. And so I did research for organic cheese. And I recommend you do a search too. Do a web search for organic cheese. And this will lead you down, you know, the road of all the organic cheese. And well, back when Kevin Trudeau was exposing this over 20 years ago, and people were saying he's freaking crazy, right? He's crazy, he's a nut. And everybody's making fun of it, chugging the soda. Ah. And and so now if you do a search for it, for organic cheese, you'll see that they're basically all over the place. Okay? Before, when he said this back in 2011, you couldn't find nothing. The only place you could find it is if you took your ass to Montana, is the closest place around here. You would have to go to Montana, to a town there called Kalispell, where they have a dairy farm called Kalispell Creamery with a K. And they were making and selling raw organic milk, cheese, dairy products, yogurt. And the other place where you could get it was clear across the nation on the East Coast or on the West Coast, California, in the state of Pennsylvania. The town was called Lancaster, where they have, what are those people called? Amish. They have Amish people there in this town called Lancaster. It's a suburb of Lancaster, which is called Bird in Hand. And they have a store farm there where they raise all organic stuff. This is the only place that had it back then. And the government and the FDA with guns, they come to your house at 3 o'clock in the morning without a search warrant. If you do research on them, they are the Nazi Gestapo. Without a search warrant, and throw your ass on the floor. If you don't believe it, read Elaine Foyer's book, The FDA's Crimes Against Humanity. And they were saying, this was, 10, 15 years ago. He's selling raw milk. We're going to throw him in prison. And they were sitting there chugging the milks themselves, all the people in Congress. Because Congress is just a hop, skip, and a jump away from Amos Miller Farms in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Right? Washington, D.C. is just a hop, skip, and a jump from Lancaster, Pennsylvania, where Amos Miller Farms is, that had the best food in the whole nation, that wasn't poisoned with all the crap they're putting in our food. They were playing it off smooth and telling everybody they were going to throw them in prison because they wanted to scare everybody else off while they were sitting there eating the food themselves. Because you have to be a club member to buy the stuff in the first place. And you can order it. They ship it to them. You think they're eating this freaking garbage that they're feeding the rest of the people? And so now, just all of a sudden, out of the blue, a couple months ago, I find out there's a dairy right here in California making and selling raw milk. The enzymes in raw milk that your body's supposed to have to process all of the digestion, there's enzymes in raw milk. 90% of them are destroyed in the milk that we're getting. It's almost as bad as what they done to the wheat. They took out 40 of the 44 essential minerals, elements, whatever the hell they are, that your body needs, that's in wheat, and they took them all out and put in their synthetic bullshit in it. So this raw milk is available. Now, here in California, just out of the blue, I found out there's a place right here where all the billionaires are, where they're getting good donuts when they wake up in the morning. They go down to Dynamo Donuts and Coffee in San Francisco, where they're using good flour to make their donuts. I think it's King Arthur organic flour, which doesn't cost more than the garbage flour. It's just a few dollars difference. And and they also have all raw organic dairy products. Up here where we have the largest concentration of multi-billionaires anywhere in the nation is in the Bay Area, California, Silicon Valley. No surprise. And so they even have it right here in Fresno. It's just nobody knows about it. They have it at Sprouts. I haven't gone down and checked myself. Checked for myself. Because the range on my car is limited. But maybe very soon I'll rent that car like I said I was going to do and go do a whole bunch of stuff. And when I do, I'll swing by there. Maybe I'll rent a motel and, make it a weekend, because there's a lot to show you. And so there's this place called Sprouts, and I think Safeway has it, but there's no Safeways around here. And there's a store. It's on Clovis Avenue. It's at 241 South Clovis Avenue in Fresno, California. And they're supposed to have some of these products. They actually even have a farm here in Fresno, California, that's producing raw dairy, raw milk, raw dairy. It's called Raw Farm. And it's just right outside of Fresno. And you can check that out yourself. It's called Raw Farm. Then there's another one called Claravale Farm. These are small farms with just a little bit of cows. And they're actually selling eggs too. They're raising sheep, and the stuff is in the stores. And there's another one called Claravale Farm, and it's right. I've been passing by it every day. It's right on the Interstate 5 over by Firebaugh. It's on the Panocha Road in I-5. It's just like about 5 miles. Yeah, probably like 5 miles from there. Off in the country. There's so many places where they could be having these small farms. Out in the country over here, it's like nobody has messed with this part of the country. It's all natural. Just out here, just all along where we're at in the Interstate 5, west of the Interstate 5. It's all still good land. And so, yeah, they have one there. And then they have one in Modesto. In between Modesto and Patterson. They have another one there called Desi Milk. And then they've got another one called My Sister's Farm. And I forget exactly. I think this one is over by Sacramento. There's two by Sacramento. It's My Sister's Farm and Our Ground Up. That's the name of the company. It's a strange name. It's called Our Ground Up. And these are both, I think, in Sacramento. Right outside of Sacramento by Folsom, California. And just on southeast Sacramento. And so it's unbelievable. There's raw milk. And ice cream made with real raw milk, all different flavors. I think they got, well, I want to try the chocolate and the chocolate mint. But, so now moving on to, well, since I'm talking about that, let me go talk about the cheese too. Okay, there's some cheese companies here in California that are making good cheese. One of them is called Rumiano Cheese Company. Okay, you can check these out yourself and see where they're at. And they will tell you where they sell their products at, which stores, because they're basically being hidden right now. I didn't know this. I just barely found this out when I started searching for the cheese, when I found out they were doing that to the cheese. There's this another company called Cowgirl Creamery, another one called Nicasio Valley Cheese. These are all in California. Another one called Sierra Nevada Cheese Company. So all this stuff is available. Okay, so I saw this, and all these companies who are spreading the lies, right? They're basically in competition with these because these are on fire right now. People are catching on, and um, and so a lot of these companies, they monitor these social media platforms, and people like me or the other people on here who are telling people about this stuff, they automatically block them. I was wondering why, when I tried leaving comments on these fake channels who pretend to be regular people, why my it was blocked. They already blocked you because they're manipulating the people. They don't want you to give your opinion in there. They've already blocked you because it's only on some channels, right? They start this whole thing and the whole community is responding in there, but you're blocked from giving your opinion from them. Because I can leave a comment on other channels on Facebook. So I finally caught on to that. They're out there bullshitting the people, spreading lies, manipulation, and that's why you can't leave your comment on certain channels. They've already got you blocked. Okay? And so last night I saw this one person. I thought he was down in LA. I'm pretty sure he was down in LA. I saw him about a month ago or 2 months ago. He had this girl with him. They were out on a date or something. And last night he was at home and he was, just talking to the people, leaving comments. And showed his fish tank. And he was saying how much, um, that he likes his fish and he takes care of his fish and all this stuff. And he showed the fish in there swimming around. And I noticed the water was dirty, right? The fish tank, the water was dirty, and I'm like, he doesn't have a ozonator in there. So you know how I've told you about an ozonator, right? If you have like grapes, cherries, blueberries, radish, these small things that are difficult to clean if they've got pesticides on them. If you're not buying organic, you definitely want to get the pesticide off them. Well, the only thing that I've know about that will disintegrate the pesticide is ozone. This is what nature uses to clean the air. It uses ozone. So there's a machine that makes ozone. It makes it off electricity when you get high voltage, and it it arcs when the high voltage goes through the air. It burns the air and creates ozone. This is like your thunderstorms. When you have lightning, it creates, you know, lots and lots of ozone. And um, there's you can buy these machines. They're called water ozonators, and you can clean your produce with them. It completely disintegrates the pesticide. And I've seen this. I've seen them take the dyes and put the ozone in the water, and it freaking completely eliminates. It's like bleach, but it doesn't leave any chemical residues. That's why nature uses ozone, not bleach. And and so they use these in fish tanks. You put it in the water, and it cleans the water, and the water looks crystal clear, and the fish love it because they're getting ozone, and it's like oxygen, O2 or O3, or I don't know what it is. But yeah, I wrote down in the comments, why don't you get an ozonator? They're freaking dirt cheap. You know, if you go to a health store and you buy a water ozonator from a health store, it'll cost you about $400. And I'll have to double check that, but 10-15 years ago they were $350. So I'm imagining now they're probably 400. And you can go to eBay and buy yourself an ozonator for like 12, no, not 12, like $17. 1 7. You can buy a water ozonator for $17, free shipping, on eBay. Drop that thing, because they got called a bubble stone. Drop that thing in your fish tank. Fish will be happy, and it'll be clean water. It won't be all freaking polluted. So I just thought I'd let you know that. Okay, now the pomegranate juice that I've been telling you about. Um, they've got pomegranate juice at Kroger. It's called the brand. It's organic. The brand is called Simple Truth, and they've got it at Kroger. And then here in California, because we don't have Kroger's, they've got it at Foods Co. And I heard that they have it at Food for Less also. I didn't have access to a Food for Less, but we do have a Foods Co. close by. I went there and they have it in there, and it's less than half the price of where you can find it other places. You can't even find it at Walmart. Walmart has their own brand. That's a different story. It's in the refrigerated section. Go get some if you want it, but this stuff is organic. I've tried it, and it's like if you press the fruit yourself. And so I told you that I'm taking this pomegranate juice, and we used to take the seeds of the pomegranate, which is the fruit, and we would put it in a bowl. And then we'd put vinegar and salt in it, and we'd eat it with a spoon. Well, that's not very practical anymore because it makes a big mess, especially if you live like I do. It's not practical. But if you get this stuff, or the ones they sell already in a cup at Walmart sometimes, once in a blue moon, you can add the vinegar and the salt to it. And so I've done that with that that vinegar that I've got up there on the shelf. It's got salt in it, Himalayan salt. Hoping to get some Celtic salt soon. You can mix in the vinegar with it, just a little bit like that. A little bit of the pomegranate juice, about that much, and then mix in a little bit. And you can get that flavor. And um, it's different than other fruits. Only pomegranate tastes good like that because pomegranate, unlike, say, if you wanted to try it with grape juice, you know, grape juice is sweet too, right? And unlike grape juice, pomegranate has a slight bitter taste to it because, for one thing, if you read the Encyclopedia of Medicinal Plants and Herbs, you'll see that the pomegranate rind is anthelmintic, which means it's antiparasitic. It gets rid of parasites and worms. And but that yellow thing, if you've ever peeled a pomegranate, that yellow thing that separates the compartments in there, it has like a bitter taste to it. And the juice, you can taste that. So that's why it's different. If you add the vinegar and salt to it, that's what makes it different than other fruit juices. Other fruit juices did, do not taste the same. You can only do this with pomegranate juice. And from what I heard, pomegranate juice is an antioxidant powerhouse. So it must be good. You can also get the black cherry and the tart cherry. And you know, these were used in Hulda Clark's protocol for her kidney cleanse. Okay? So if you get yourself some pomegranate juice, it might be a good idea to get all of them. Cranberry, it's all organic, no sugar added. Um, Cranberry, pomegranate, black cherry, and tart cherry. Grab one of each one of those bad boys. But pomegranate is really, that's the knockout one. It's difficult to find, but they're becoming more available because they're starting to plant tons of them here. Before, pomegranates, really the only thing they were used for were to make those little red candies, those little red penny candies. They were coming from Mexico. I guess they were growing a lot of pomegranate trees over there, but now they're growing them here. And they're also growing agave, if you didn't know, here in California now. There's a big story about that, what was going on in Mexico. They were growing agave to make mezcal, but they couldn't even sell it because they couldn't label it mezcal. They were screwing them over. The marketing, you know, how these marketers, it's supposed to be the fastest drink in the United States at bars and stuff. Not promoting alcohol, I'm just letting you know that they're starting to grow it here in California. The mezcal. Go price, go price a bottle of mezcal. And where it used to be dirt cheap, you get it from Mexico, right? So these people are getting in on it now. They use some kind of law that they can't put the label on it, so nobody knows that it's there. See how dirty they are? But I guess it's all meant to be. So, yeah, the there's all kinds of breads now on the market. Sprouted wheat bread, organic bread, and I'm still experimenting with a few. Some are better than others, and so I think some are deliberately made to taste bad. So you gotta shop around, and yeah, the numbers are really high for the bread, but I don't want to repeat them because I don't know where they're really getting this stuff from. But yeah, 80% of the wheat in Mexico is from the United States, and probably all of it is not organic. And I gave you the name of the cheese companies, and so that's about it. yeah, that's all I've got for you right now. So check that stuff out, especially if you're here in California. If you're in Fresno, Sprouts on 241 South Clovis Avenue, go check out the raw milk there. There's supposed to be some from Strauss and one from Raw Farm. The Raw Farm is actually supposed to be made right here in Fresno. And then there's supposed to be somewhere else, another store. I forget which it is, but just, oh, and also the bakeries. Do a web search for organic bakeries where you get your donuts and your cakes, because there's quite a few of them here in Fresno who are using good flour, probably King Arthur flour. And so now where are they all getting this flour from? I guess the people over in Petaluma, where they have this dairy farm. It's called Strauss Family Creamery, where there just happens to be the largest concentration of multi-billionaires anywhere in the nation. And not only do they have the dairy, but they are also, this is where they have the bread company. And I forgot the name of the bread company right now. It is, they're the ones that are making the organic tortillas. The organic tortillas, which aren't even sold here. You can't find them. You know where they're showing up? They're showing up in New Jersey. And I think it's either Mi Rancho or um, La Tortilla Factory, LA Tortilla Factory. And um, well, Mi Rancho is a tortilla company in Mexico. And wouldn't you know that they are importing practically 0% organic flour into Mexico, even though Mi Rancho is in Mexico. And anyhow, right there in Petaluma County, they're making organic bread and they're actually putting it in the schools up there. So they're getting the best bread up there in these schools, and it's starting to catch on a little bit by little bit in some other schools. But anyhow, I don't remember the exact details on that company, but it's right there in Petaluma, Sonoma County, where they have all the multi-billionaires. They've got a company. Oh yeah, they're getting their wheat. They tell you where they get their wheat from. Basically, they're getting their wheat from Utah, where they're not using freaking garbage, spraying it down with freaking basically a spin-off of Agent Orange. Okay? And so thanks for tuning in, and I'll tell you more on this one company where all the good stuff is coming in from, how it relates to the tortillas. But La Tortilla Company, no, La Tortilla Factory is supposedly making organic tortillas. And I checked where they're getting their flour from because I wanted to see if they're using King Arthur flour, right? And it turns out they're getting their flour from this bread manufacturer who tells you exactly what they're doing and where they're getting their wheat flour from. Because, one of these companies that does all this stuff with wheat, they're hundreds of thousands of tons of wheat. The company is ConAgra. That's the big, like your Nabisco, your Kraft, and your Campbell's. These are the big conglomerates. Well, if you do reviews on them, you'll see they don't have a good track record. They're freaking liars. They'll freaking label their product as organic, and they're freaking dirty, right? And so if you look at these conglomerates who are poisoning your ass, all those conglomerates are in David Icke's book. In his books, like this one, The Biggest Secret by David Icke, and he'll show you who these companies are. They're Satan worshippers, just like what's going on over in Epstein Island. They're finding out what they're doing, eating babies and whatnot. These are all freaking devil worshippers, also known as Lucifer and the fallen angels, also known as the extraterrestrials, who David Icke refers to as the reptilian shapeshifters. If you read his book, he was telling you all about this stuff 25 years ago. It's just coming out now that the people that he's naming here by name are being summoned into the courts now, even though when he told you about it, they were in their prime, raising hell, getting it on, and doing all these things to kids. Okay? And their Satanism, their rituals, what they do. It's all coming out now. And just like these multinational corporations, he names them in there. So that's why I'm saying do diligent research. That your wheat is not coming from these bozos. You got small farms coming on now. I just told you a whole bunch of them. It's catching on. It's on fire right now. Okay. Thanks for tuning in. Signing out from the Central Valley, California. Thanks for liking the video so the message gets out to more people.